Hello and welcome to the debriefing. Um, while searching for a map here, I actually found one that's kind of interactive. I'm going to be turning that off and just kind of like zooming around a little bit. Ceres is not included in this, but that's, at least I don't think it is. Like I'm double checking now. Uh, no, it looks like we're okay. So also, what the balls is this? Oh hell, there's like a whole extra like side room secret here on the escape that I didn't know about. Looks like we can go that way. Okay. They for like not even a minute in and I've already learned something. But and that up there is just a freaking power bomb. It's amazing. So you do need the diagonal shine spark to get that. It's a shame I never could. I wonder if like the timing of it is just really tight, if it was an issue with my controller, or if I'm just bad. We'll figure out at some point in the future. But hi, and welcome to the debriefing of Super Metroid. Um, I really don't have as much to say here because, for one thing, we were able to kind of see the map. It's let me just close this. It's getting in the way. Um, you couldn't like look at all of it at once, which was a bit of a shame. I think, in fact, I know that the Prime games you can switch between sections to look at the map to remind you of stuff. I want to say you can do that in all of the future 2D games as well. Um, but much like Nestroid, like it's laid out completely flat. There's no tiles overlapping like there are in Metroid 2. So they didn't need to like space it out weirdly when they put this together like they did with Metroid 2. Like maybe with the elevators a little bit, just to make it line up. But aside from that, it's fine. It's beautiful. But it's sorry, I think I'm starting to get a little sick again as of this recording. One thing I noticed when I immediately pulled it up was unlike Nestroid, this one isn't perfectly balanced. In Nestroid, like Kraid and Ridley were practically on the same floor. They were just in completely different areas. Whereas with this one, like Norfair, especially lower Norfair, like it's deep. It's deep. As and it's below the not as big as I thought it was. Like it feels bigger than it actually is. Meridia here. Like I knew the wrecked ship was small, and Brinstar, actually Brinstar looks a little smaller than it felt too. Now that I'm looking at it, I never did go back down here to get whatever this is. What is that? Oh, it's just a. That's an energy tank. That would have been worth checking out. So, okay, so that's one of the energy tanks I missed. But like on the whole, like this is a very cohesive map. Like it's and just looking at it like this, you can see the variety of tile. Like it's very easy to remember where a lot of things are just because of the visual design, which is a huge step up from the original Metroid and Metroid 2. Not that I can hold it against them too much, as I feel like some of that they were just held back by the hardware. But it's actually kind of interesting to see how it's like to some degree like it is them figuring out how video games work. It is figuring out proper design practices and whatnot. But a lot of it is also just, hey, we got better hardware, we can do more. And I'm really like there is part of me that will always wonder like where that line is between the hardware like really holding them back versus the accumulated knowledge of how to do a good video game. Um, I feel like, I mean, admittedly, like a couple of the like heads of the team that made Super Metroid have since passed on from this mortal life. So we can't really ask them. And Nintendo's always been a bit gun shy when it comes to like delving deeply into their like design practices beyond like like Miyamoto will do interviews about like some of his inspirations and whatnot, but at least from what I've remember seeing over the years, they never really get down to the nitty gritty of it. Like how much play testing they do, how much iteration it takes, things like that. Oh wait, what the hell? There is a missile right before the speed booster. That's interesting. But yeah, like on the whole, I've enjoyed playing through this original trilogy. Um, I thought I was gonna have more to say about the game and like the previous games, but I feel like I've said everything that I've wanted to say in their respective debriefings. So instead, like for the rest of this, I'm just gonna talk about my future plans for YouTube, how I'm gonna tackle the Metroid series going further, things like that. And the answer is I have no plans to continue doing YouTube exclusive content. One thing this experience has taught me is that I just prefer streaming. I just prefer doing Twitch, and I think that's all I'm going to do moving forward. I do want to focus on Metroidvanias on my Twitch, and admittedly, like some of this should probably wait until the announcement video at the end of the year, but fuck it, I'm here to talk. Um, but I think initially, like after I'm done with the current round of games that I've got planned for my Twitch, like instead of immediately jumping into Metroid, I think I'm just gonna do some of the newer indie Metroidvanias, and then eventually kind of circle back and do the Metroid series on Twitch. Um, it's actually feels like a good place to stop with Metroid for right now because well, the company stopped with Metroid for right now, and it would be like 8 or 9 years before Metroid Fusion and Metroid Prime released. I don't plan on waiting 8 or 9 years to tackle future Metroid games, but I know, especially since the original trilogy does tell like something of a cohesive story. Like the Nestroid kind of stands on its own, and you could theoretically jump into Metroid 2 without knowledge of Nestroid. In fact, a lot of people did, to the point where like Metroid 2 did so well, Nintendo kind of did like a soft re-release of Nestroid with like new box art and everything, with the advertisement being, "You've played Metroid 2, now see where it all began." Metroid 2 was actually kind of a big deal for the Game Boy. It was like one of its better selling games. Like it was like, I mean, I don't know the numbers or anything, and it admittedly like stuff like Link's Awakening would overshadow it completely. But like Metroid 2 really helped push Game Boy. Tetris probably did more, but it played a part. But yeah, like a lot of people jumped into Metroid 2 without having played the original, and to a degree I don't think that hurts the experience at all. But I feel like a lot of the context for this game beyond the initial cuts backstory cutscene thing that happens when you start a new file, like a lot of the context is lost when you're jumping into Super Metroid. Like I said over here when I was like exploring the lower part of Torian here, like this just entire look of everything and even the stuff that you can destroy, like that's Metroid nesting stuff. Like it's really cool that they made sure to carry that over into Super Metroid, and like because it's like I don't remember seeing any of this in like Fusion or Zero Mission or anything like that. So it's like I feel like to some degree, like as the series progressed, it kind of lost some of this original flavor. But yeah, I feel like this is a good place to stop. When I return to Metroid proper, I will probably replay these games again on stream before like playing some of the newer stuff. I don't know if I'm going to be doing like a chronological run before a series release run. Partially because if I do that, I can skip Nestroid entirely. Zero Mission is a remake of Nestroid after all. Reimagining really. Um Things and stuff to say. Like I really don't have much to add to this. Um like everything else I have to say as far as like my future plans on Twitch can wait for that. But I will be focusing on Metroidvanias moving forward. Like I there will at least for the foreseeable future, like for the next year or two, there will always be a Metroidvania being played on my Twitch channel. Like I will always have an active game in that genre. Not going to be the only thing I'm playing, but I will always have an active Metroidvania running alongside whatever else I'm doing. So look forward to that. I'm not entirely sure when this is going to be released. Given the number of episodes at this point, I want to say that this is coming out in December, maybe early December. I'm not sure. So the announcement video is right around the corner, probably. um, Again, for context, because I've played through this much more quickly than I was planning to, the time of recording this is early October. Like I don't want to say I blitzed through these games because they are fairly short, but I was planning to space them out a bit more playing so that I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now, which is talking to you like 2 months from the past. But I'm talking to you 2 months from the past, so it's it's just how things have happened. But I think that's gonna be it for this. For those of you who were looking forward to a lot of Metroid content here on YouTube in this like bite-sized format, I do apologize. But this experience, like I said, it has been somewhat educational in that I guess like looking at this again, I just realized I could have gotten up here with Space Jump. I feel like beyond like a few of the optional upgrades, like the Shine Sparks are not required at all. And for critical path stuff, that doesn't change in the series at all. But there are a lot more Shine Spark puzzles in future games blocking like optional upgrades, like your missile packs, your super missiles, your additional power bombs, things of that sort, your energy tanks. But in future games, they also don't eat your health when you use them, so that's a pretty big deal as well. But I'm gonna end it here. Um, Enjoy the Twitch VODs, which are probably somewhat behind at this point. That is a problem I didn't quite foresee, and that makes me feel kind of silly. But they'll be caught up probably within a couple of weeks, and then after that, it'll be back to what was the regularly scheduled release of within a few days after after the stream on Twitch. So yeah, whatever I'm playing, whatever's happening, I hope y'all enjoy. And until next time, bye bye.